guys, welcome to Wargamer Dad, and this week I'm going to be reviewing issue 21 of Warhammer's Imperium Magazine, and in a break from the norm I'm also going to be reviewing issue 22. This is partially to catch up. I'm recovering from COVID. I feel less shit, but I'm still testing positive. And I'm trying to do a little catch up. Unfortunately, making videos was a bit of a non-starter for the past couple of weeks, partially because everything keeps hitting the fan every time I do something, and it's been stressing me the fudge out, and partially because subsequent to that, my Tourette's has been acting up like a maniac because I am stressed to buggery. Basically, you guys may or may not know, I had a little drama before Christmas when I'm out of work for a month. I just started working up again, caught COVID, and of course it shot on another 11-day gap in my finances, which is just fun. But enough about all those things. Let's get into the magazine, and hopefully I can relax my face a bit. Right, first obviously we're going to look at issue 21 because that makes sense. I just realised if I do this, it's going to throw all the numbers out on the video. Oh well. I do need to catch up. Right, first things first, let's look at these models. I had a look at these when they first came out, mostly because at that point I was a part owner in a games shop. They looked amazing. And looking at them now, they still look really bloody cool. A lot of the mechanical stuff is nice, and it was very tempting to buy them, but I found the best way to stay up with the game is to pick one army and then just stick with it. I've been playing Space Wolves since 5th ed, with a significant gap in them. I upgraded or moved over to a Primera Space Wolf army because of the previous magazine, and because Dark Imperium was frankly fantastic. So now I've got quite a sizable Space Wolf army that has a lot of models in it, and because I'm picking one army and staying with it, it does to a certain extent future-proof me, because most of the stuff they release, or most of the changes in the rulebooks, I already have. And if new units come out and I need them, I can just buy one or two of that new unit and I'm fantastic. So that does save me a lot, which is why I didn't get these dudes when they first came out. So there's between 3 sprues, there are supposedly 10 models. We will see how that works out, because there is 1, 2, 3 legs on this sprue. Is one of these sprues different? Oh, you want one of these sprues has a little command section in the corner with a sword in that, which this sprue doesn't have, so it looks like one of these sprues will probably have the extra man on them. So that's cool. Again, it says get it right. It says 10 miniatures here, which is not true. It's part 1 of 2. It says 10 miniatures with this issue, but that's not true. You'll get 10 miniatures over 2 issues. Which we've seen them make that, I don't want to say mistake, but we've seen them make that misrepresentation before. Just got some dinner. But it's still a significant saving, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, these guys are fantastic. There's some amazing detail. Certainly some weapons and some helmets look a lot cooler than others. I do like these Salute style helmets, which is the sort of, you can't see it, which is the sort of half helm on the top. I think the Rangers are the ones with the hoods. I'm going to check out the rules for both of them online, and I'm going to see if that's what I actually want to build. There are 10 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there are 10 heads with hoods, and then there, on this issue there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads with metallic bits. I do prefer the metallic bit, guys, you know, with the armor, but at the same time, I think I have a lot of guys in armor, and chances are these guys as scouts will probably serve me better. So we may have double checking the rules. We've got one of these nifty fold outs, which gives you some explanation of the Imperial forces and the Necron forces, and then have the Prior Nexus and some maps there which look frankly awesome, which you can stick on your wall or wherever you want. Then it's a few issues late, but it is hitting. I do like these fold out mats, but repeatedly I have had them come, and I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see it. Maybe if I do that, it'll auto zoom. Come on, give a bit of picture. Give a better picture. Nope. Okay. Yeah, if I hold my hand up there, you can see it's a little blurry. The battle mats do crack. But you've got this big pale battle mat here. Which looks like some kind of lunar surface. We're spreading it with roads, and then you've got this one here, which will work with the other stuff you've got and the scenery. And there should be more about that in this issue. So that looks good. I've recently been making some battle boards out of old picture frames. Actually, if I show you, you can see that one up there that I made, which looks a little cave maze. And I found if you've got big enough ones, tucking these things in picture mats is a great way to protect in picture frames with the glass over the front. Is a great way not only to protect them, but you can draw over the glass and register effects and things that happen. Obviously, whilst there are massive picture frames, they're only as big as that, so it's involved cutting them into sections and fitting them into things. But you can sort of like lay them on the table and assemble them, and frankly, it doesn't take up any space. So that's probably what I'm going to do with that, just because keeping them as they are, unfortunately, just wears them out. They're made of cardboard, so they scratch, they wear, they're not particularly strong. Another thing I've seen people do with them is cut them onto boards of the appropriate size. Either one large board or several small boards to provide them with some protection and keep them solid, and then stick the, I don't know if you remember the old plastic stuff you get. Actually, I've got some of it. Covering this, stick them on boards and then cover the surface with this plastic film cover, which is basically just a thin plastic film, the likes of which you tend to find on school books and that back in the day. Sadly, I think my day might be significantly earlier than a lot of the days some of you guys have, or significantly later in some cases. But yeah, there are loads of ways to protect them, but sadly, yeah, you can see what I mean about my face, just going nuts. Too much stress, just got to chill, man. Yeah, like I say, there are loads of ways of protecting them, but sadly, keeping them in their current format, just a fold up board, doesn't seem to be one of those ways. They do tend to wear, the edges crack, and frankly, they are very nice boards. They're not made from the most robust materials, but as boards go, they're a good size. They've got good detail, and if you're adding two or even three of them together, you're actually getting a good sized battle board out of that. So protecting them in whatever way you want. Certainly a good investment. I've even seen one guy just take the board to, I think it was his local Staples, and get the whole thing laminated because they had a large laminating machine, and then he just tucked it under his bed or beyond his wardrobe or something. I don't know. But anyway, we've got another cool battle board to play on, which is fun. Okay, page one, signed by Ian, our warlord of the day. Next, first things first, Skitarii Rangers. And they've got Greek symbols. They use a lot of Greek symbols because it sounds cool, because it sounds ancient, and because they look weird. And they look cool. Where are we? The Skitarii are the frontline soldiers of the Adeptus Mechanicus, armed with an array of finely crafted Martian weapons and enhanced with a range of bionic modifications. They are capable of fighting in the most extreme conditions and securing victory for their forge world. This is really proving problematic. Basically, your Skitarii are your foot soldiers, and they can be anything from basic humans with some breathing apparatus attached to almost entirely mechanical, depending on the forge world and depending on how far that forge world has gotten in enhancing them. Often with the most experienced and the most proven being the most enhanced. It's common to enhance their brains, simply to remove things like fear and doubt and stuff like that, and get them to just march into battle. And that's pretty cool. It goes on. It covers a lot of this stuff. A Skitarii unit is called a maniple. They often have a signal. They often have one of these symbols and skulls and that on their main leader, which denotes who's in charge and who they're meant to be. The leaders of the squads are referred to as alphas. So there's multiple kinds of weapons, but the rangers tend to be armed with galvanic rifles or arquebuses. An arquebus is just a massive rifle in this case. They're very, as you can see, they're a mixture of kind of archaic and new, because that's what the Imperium is, and specifically that's what the Mechanicum is, but they are no less deadly for it. One of these fantastic trooper troop records here, battle records here. We can put your maniple name, your cohort name, your macro clade name, and you've got D3 dice to help you pick them. You've also got bionic enhancements, which you can roll and add. It doesn't affect a lot of what they do, but it sounds cool. And then you've got the Adeptus Mechanicus, names and titles for alphas and things like that. And you've got a D66 there, which starts from 11 and goes to 66. It's basically 2d6, which obviously because we've done that before. And as I previously said, this stuff is cool. It adds stuff to your game that you wouldn't already have, and enhances stuff that you do have. It then goes into tech priests and tech priest titles, Adeptus Mechanicus, Manipul epithets, and you've got some more bits there that you can roll on. So obviously they put a lot of stuff into this and put a lot of extra stuff, which is just going to make your games a little bit more in-depth and a little bit more fun. Following that, we've got a brief explanation of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus wields strange and arcane technological weapons of phenomenal power. They prize knowledge above all things, and without a second thought, they will shed oceans of blood, both enemies and their own, in their endless crusade for its acquisition. It also covers a brief bit about the religion of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are disciples of the Machine God, or the Omnissiah, of which the Emperor is either an avatar or a manifestation. It's quite complex. Basically, in some of the books, it says that the Emperor set up a magic trick on Mars before he met the Skitarii, and then went down and then sort of planted it in the Skitarii's consciousness as this is how you'll know the Omnissiah. And then he went to Mars and did it, and he must be the Omnissiah. When we all know that he may well be the Omnissiah, but he is also a very naughty boy. Anyway, tech priests claim the divine being gave rise to all technologies, granting humanity the knowledge required to create them, which is cool. They're very weird and very puritanical about their technology. The right prayers must be said, the right runes must be incarnated, and lots of stuff like that. You've got a picture of Mars there with massive rings, and yep, those things do go all the way to the surface, so they can shuttle things back and forth. For those who don't know, the Adeptus Mechanicus cult originally started on Mars before it spread out to other worlds, along with the Great Crusade. You've got the Skitarii, a picture of the Skitarii there, and a picture of Tech Priest. Tech Priests are the guys that run the Cult Mechanicus, but they have lots of different ranks, and there are lots of different beings. Stop it. And there are lots of different beings and creatures that run the Cult Mechanicus alongside them, or mostly underneath them. They're just as likely to scoop out the brain of a human and repurpose the body as they are to chop off limbs and repurpose the body. Sometimes both, sometimes a little bit of each. They don't throw the brains away. After the rise of the Iron Men, which is a bit of history in 40k, where artificial creations rose up and tried to take over. If that sounds familiar, it's because GW may or may not have been influenced. Yeah, influence is the right word. By Dune, where that's why you have Mentats in Dune. That's why you have the Deus Mechanicus in 40k. I don't know if GW got that idea from Frank Herbert, and who could possibly say? But there's all kinds of stuff there. Next, we have the Crimson Doom. The legions of the Novok dynasty have emerged from have emerged from a hidden dolmen gate and descended upon the imperial world of Valantha. Crusade Fleet Primus has responded to the world's cries for help, dispatching an entire cohort of Adeptus Mechanicus warriors to confront the invading foe. And then you've got a nice little story there to give you a little inspiration for you guys, which follows on from there, because they're the Scutari and they take quite a few pages. Next, we've got the standard assembly guide. It's got a little bit of extra bit there where it points out it is very hard to get the right amount of glue on these small delicate joints, and the best thing to do to avoid the glue running everywhere is use a bit of tissue or a cotton bud or something to absorb the excess glue so that you don't end up with it melting extra bits. It's not a massive problem if it does spread across, but what tends to happen is you end up holding it in a place that's got glue on it, and then it melts your fingerprints into the model, which doesn't look as cool. Although I've seen some people use it to basically texturize models. I think they look cooler as they are. Having built the Scutari, they are delicate. So this is one of the cases where I very thoroughly recommend you read this and then you build it and keep it around for reference. They're showing you that you've got alternate builds here, but they're showing you've got alternate options here, but they are primarily building it as Scutari Rangers. Next, we've got some stats, some data sheets for the Primaris Lieutenant and the Assault Intercessor Squad. And tutorial setting, a tutorial. This page explains how the Primaris Lieutenant's Storm Shield and Tactical Precision ability work during the game. Note, this data sheet contains several other abilities and keywords that you may not yet understand. You will learn those abilities and keywords in later issues. So they've got a basic little tutorial for some of the extra rules there. Well, for some more of the rules, and the same thing with these guys. They're going into some of the specials that you get with your officers, and frankly, that's in this edition, and which is I think 9th, possibly 8th, and yeah, this edition which is 9th, and the previous edition which is 8th. The main thing about officers is not necessarily what they do as individual heroes, but rather what they bring to enhance the other units. A lot of what used to be left to psychers, and in the case of Space Wolves, Wolf Priests and Rune Priests, is now spread more about the other officers. The idea that they are commanding and interacting with the units is much more a thing in these newer editions, and frankly, it's cooler. Previously, they were primarily heroes and they didn't do that much. A lot of the time, you'd have them in units primarily to protect their cool individual abilities so that you'd get them off. Now, they no longer go in units, they go behind them to be protected, but their abilities enhance the units. Whereas previously, it was mostly the unit would be kind of like ablative wounds. I used to play with a Wolf Lord with twin power fists, Belt of Rust and Saga of the Warrior Born many editions ago. And what Saga of the Warrior Born did was every time you killed somebody, in the next time you fought, you got to add that number of dead people as attacks. And what Lookout Sir did was enable you to sacrifice other soldiers to keep the Wolf Lord line. So you'd stick him in a unit of Blood Claws, which are 15 Blood Claws, charge in, do your attacks, they'd attack back, and the next turn, and you throw Blood Claws in the way, but the next turn your Wolf Lord would add however many people he'd killed to his attack profile and attack again. And he started with 6, so it was very common That's not right. You started with 4, you got 1 for charging, you got 1 for twin weapons. So it's very common in the next turn to have 10 power fist attacks mowing through things. And in, I think it was 6th ed, that was. In 6th ed, there wasn't much you couldn't kill. He killed Khan the Betrayer once, yeah. Whereas in this thing, whereas in the new edition, sorry, the units and your heroes' officers actually enhance each other, which, despite the fact I loved my Wolflord with Twin Power Fists, this is better. You get a lot more stuff. You have to think about, are you going to throw the guy in? Are you going to hold him back? What are you going to do with him? Are you going to lead from the front? It's all, it's all pretty cool. Next, we've got the battle, which has orbital defense. Seize the platform. The Necrons must seize the orbital platform and allow their canoptic slave constructs to dismantle the Imperial defenses, opening a path for invasion. Protect the defense network. Space Marines must hold their positions and protect Sifos orbital defense networks and allow the Imperial forces below to prepare their defenses. So that's pretty cool. You're not using any of the new models in this one, which is a shame. I do like it when they bring the new models in. The forces consist of sorry, my dog's whining because I've got food on the table. The forces consist of a Primaris Lieutenant and 5 Assault Intercessors, and a Necron Overlord and 10 Necron warriors, set up on the long edges of the bow mat on the moon looking side, so that's pretty cool. In this one, they're going through the command phase and the psychic phases. Whilst Necrons aren't really a psychic race, they do have stuff that goes off. I think they do have stuff that goes off in the psychic phase. I'm not entirely sure what they do, but certainly Marines do, so that's cool. You've got several pages of that. Next, you've got the inner page of the back of the book, which again goes through guidance, community exploration. It recommends you go to your local store. It recommends you check out online. It recommends you look at the other products available for 40k. None of those are bad ideas. One of the things it's all pushes you towards is things like Black Library and stuff like that. And the Black Library stuff has some amazing stories and it really gives some teeth to 40k. Be aware if you're buying Black Library books that anything that's part of the Horus Heresy selection will be set in the 30k universe, and it gives you some cool stuff, but it is very different. Next, we've got the back page, which tells us you're getting some more Skitarii, which we'll see in a minute, and a Canoptic Spider, which is a nice, fantastic, big, nasty model for the Necrons. Issue 22, we're going to see in a minute, so I'll read over what happens in issue 23. You're getting the lethal Canoptic Spider, learn about Canoptic constructs, and a data sheet and a new playthrough, so that's cool. And obviously you're getting the massive model. No, Roxy, go away. Bed. Easy. This has got some cool stuff in. Oh, my issue had no bases. That's weird. I wonder if it'll have all the bases. No, it does not have 10 bases in here. That's weird. Not that it matters. I have plenty of 28mm bases. Left over from other things, but that is That is weird. Actually, how many bases do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No. If you got issue 21 and were surprised as I was by the lack of bases, they're all in issue 22. Obviously you got the Diddy bases, which are your original. Are they 22 now? Which are your original tiny bases, and you got this base, which is for your specialist weapon, which is obviously Arquebus. We've got 2 sprues here. One of them is an exact. No, it's not. Yep, you have different bases, different sprues, and each sprue is slightly different, containing different models. The sprue from the first issue just contains your basic guys, and the sprues from the second issue contain your big gun and your officer stuff. So that's pretty cool. And again, you've got some fantastic detail. Your copyright release date should be one of these is 2014, so that is a 6-year-old car, so that's part of the current kind of wave and aesthetic for 40k. But yeah, you've got some fantastic models, some fantastic weapons, a hell of a lot of detail. A lot of them are delicate, so be careful when trimming them. Particularly be careful to avoid small parts flying across the room and that. But they are, yeah, they're just fantastic. And I have to admit, you've got two types of weapons. These kind of weird techno strange weapons here, which could look kind of retro bottle or rocket pop. Retro bottle rocket pop, that's the word, bottle rocket pop. I do prefer these ones, which look like muskets, just because that's just really anachronistic and cool. So that's probably what I'm going to build, actually, just based on the look. I just probably changed my mind over just the course of the thing. You've got a nice command head with a bear head, which will probably, which looking at it is the same size and has a bauble underneath, just like you'd expect on a Space Marine model. So it would be entirely plausible to swap some of these heads over if that's what you wanted, and give yourself a bit of an interesting looking tech marine. I didn't discuss the price on the first issue because the price is for all of them. So these 3 models, these 3 sprues come in a box to give you 10 Skitarii, which off of GW's website costs $27.50. You are paying $17.98 because $8.99 and $8.99. £9 is roughly £18 minus the tuppence is $17.98, and that gives you a saving of £9.52, which works out to roughly about 35-36%. So even across 2 issues, that's still a fantastic saving, particularly if, like me, you've just had a hole blown in your finances. Haven't got any of the additional bits and pieces in this magazine, like the fold-outs or battle mat, but you did get most of the warriors, so who cares. And you've got some nice pictures there giving you an idea of what they would normally look like. Once again, signed by our tech priest Ian, and we've got some, that is just beautiful artwork. You've got exploration fleets. You can see in the background that there's a lot of standard Imperial stuff, but most exploration fleets and some of the battle fleets carry an Adeptus Mechanicus ship with them. The Adeptus Mechanicus actually have their own fleets as well, and they'll co-opt the Imperial Navy, mostly because they want to get their hands on technology first. There are instances where other people have gotten their hands on technology before them and used it. Prime example is the Space Wolves, who, in the background, I'm not sure if it was the Eliminator or the Annihilator, but one of the Predator variants was actually made by Space Marines based off what they needed, and then the Adeptus Mechanicus retcon. They said, "Oh yeah, we found some books in the thing. Yeah, this is totally legit because it just worked too well for it to be got rid of." And the Space Wolves had already shared the schematics for it with every other Space Marine leader. We got this thing. Here you go. The Space Wolves are pretty much like that. So the Adeptus Mechanicus can go, "Oh, we haven't tried and tested it. It's not ours. You can't use it." They had to basically go, "Oh yeah, we totally also found this. Yeah, it's totally normal." But also, the Adeptus Mechanicus are very, very cautious with new tech, simply because they're very aware how it can turn against you or how it can be misused. So they find the tech, and then because they want to basically suppress it for at least a century, while they check out every use of it and every possible use of it and every possible misuse of it before they spread it. And when I say a century, it's kind of like a century at least. Some stuff they just don't release. Some stuff they won't release for 1,000 years, or they won't release until another race turns up with that tech. And they're like, "Yeah, we know how that tech works. We've got that tech. We're letting it out now." Mostly to protect the Imperium from itself. Because if one area of the Imperium gets too strong, because for example it can make technologically advanced weaponry, you get mini Imperiums being created. So there's a good reason for that, but that's how they do it. I'll read the little blurb. I should do a robot voice. Yes. The Adeptus Mechanicus exploration fleet, beep boop, search the galaxy for human machinery, beep. The equipment lost during the dark age of technology. These fleets are heavily armed. For the archaeotech they seek often lies deep within the territory of Xenos foes. Beep boop. That's actually reminds me of another thing. There are things across the universe. What are they called? My brain has failed. There are basically templates of things of technology across the universe, and every time you find one, it basically bumps Imperial technology forward. Because during the age of strife and during the age of expansion, humanity's tech just was insane. They just built everything up until the point they built the Iron Men, and then that bit them in the arse. God, it's on the edge of my brain. STC, Standard Construction Templates. That's the word. Yeah, and the Imperium will invade entire sectors and annihilate entire species just to get their hands on an STC that is for a new type of spoon. You know, they're that important, and it's the Adeptus Mechanicus that want them the most. They're literally their best, funnest vibrating multi-speed toy. And it is worth knowing that sometimes Xenos species get hold of them, sometimes Chaos gets hold of them, and sometimes just normal humans get hold of them. And in all three of those cases, the Adeptus Mechanicus will often just annihilate everything on the planet, and just to prevent the tech falling into somebody else's hands. Even if it's their Imperial humans will get hold of the tech, and if the Adeptus Mechanicus think that tech is too dangerous, they'll kill the planet. They'll completely annihilate every human being on the planet that may have seen it, and most of those who haven't, just to keep the tech under control, which is quite impressive and quite scary at the same time. got a nice bit on Exploration Fleet Pentagamma 66Z3, which is cool. Got descriptions of Exploration Fleet Venture Sigma 91. You can see it has a knight with it. It is worth noting that the knights actually work for the Scutari, whilst they'll be for the Adeptus Mechanicus. They've become these kind of independent houses of knights that have a certain level of autonomy, but ultimately they answer to the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Adeptus Mechanicus maintain the knights. So you're more likely to see knights with the Adeptus Mechanicus than you are with any other faction. Yeah, you get knightly houses that work with Space Marines. Sometimes you get knightly houses that are permanently attached to a Space Marine chapter because of some honour debt. But even then, they'll often need the assistance of the Adeptus Mechanicus just to keep them going. You've got Exploratory Crusade, hence Maniple, and Explorator Fleet Omegon Cruciatus 54-9. And it's all got a little bit of nice artwork there. Next, we've got the Sautek dynasty, ruled over by the fair unknown as Imhotep. The Stormlord, Imhotep the Stormlord, from his crown world, Mandragoria. The Sautek are one of the most powerful dynasties in the galaxy. Oh, I forgot my Necron voice there. Worth noting, Imhotep was a priest, not a pharaoh, as we all learned from the mummy. He may well have been a pharaoh, I could be wrong. But we've got another bit here about these guys, just giving you more kind of information. And just giving you some character stuff here. Again, we've got the Crimson Doom. Some more story there, covering both Necrons and the Adeptus Mechanicus. And that covers 2 pages. And in this one, we've got how to paint the Scutari Rangers. It's actually they're actually nice and simple because of their mechanical nature. They're just basically metallic and red, and then a lot of wash and a bit of dry brush. Yep, it's going on about relayering and doing stuff like that. It's talking about thinning the paints and things like that, so that's pretty cool. You can make a wash just by thinning your paint a little bit more, although sometimes they're not as smooth as the specific washes, which is why they're still worth buying. And there we've got a picture of, if not the finished article, certainly the significantly painted article. You've got your Scutari Rangers there who look awesome. Next, what we got? We have the battle. We have the data sheet for the Scutari Rangers. So you get 9 Rangers with movement 6, weapon skill 4, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 3+. You see they're not Space Marines. Strength of 3 and a toughness of 3, which is standard for your sort of human and non-superpowered characters. 1 wound, 1 attack, and leadership's a 6, and a save of 4+. So they've got a reasonable save there. Then you've got the Scutari Ranger Alpha, and he differs by having 2 attacks and a leadership of 7. He is the same in all other stats. And then we've got the weapons here. You've got stats for those. The Arc Rifle, which is the kind of weird one that I decided I didn't like as much. It has rapid fire. It hasn't got pictures, it's got a lot of weapons. Arc fire is rapid fire. Each time an attack is made with this weapon unit against a vehicle unit, that attack has a damage characteristic of 3 and unmodified wound of 4 plus successive. And an unmodified wound of 4 plus successfully damages the target. Yeah, so that's pretty fucking hench. You get a couple of specialist weapons, so I'm not sure if that's the short one or not. That might be this bunny here. Next, you've got the galvanic rifle, which is the long one, 30 inches, heavy 2. Strength 4, whereas the arc rifle is strength 6 with an AP of -2 and D3 damage. The galvanic rifle is heavy 2, strength 4, AP -1 and damage 1. Yeah, that can't be the arc. Yeah, the arc rifle's got to be something bigger. The arc rifle can't be the standard weapon, otherwise that'd be ridiculous. You would never choose the galvanic rifle. The phosphor blast pistol, which has a range of 12 inches, is a pistol with D3, strength 5, AP 1, damage 1. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, the target does not receive the benefits of dense cover against that attack, so that's cool. You've got the plasma caliver, and that is how it's spelled, which has 2 options of fighting. Standard 30 inches. Standard is 30 inches. Assault 2, strength 7. Oops, sorry. AP -3 and damage 1. Then you've got the supercharge. Yeah, so that's got to be this one here, because it's a plasma style weapon, and that's a plasma style weapon. Maybe that is the arc rifle. I mean, it seems weird. Anyway, yeah, strength 7, AP -3, damage 1, or you can supercharge it. Again, it's assault 2, strength 8, -3 AP, -3 AP, and damage 2. Any unmodified rolls of 1 made for attacks with this weapon profile. The bearer is destroyed after shooting this with this weapon, so that makes sense. You've got the transuranic arquebus with a range of 60, heavy 1. AP -2 and D3 damage. Each time you select a target, you can ignore the lookout sir rule. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified wound of 6 inflicts a mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. That's nasty. Then you've got the Arkmore, which is a melee weapon, which is strength +3, so you've got a strength 6 weapon, so that's not bad. AP -2, that'll take out most armor, and 1 damage. And I mean, that's a weapon that your alpha is going to get, so given his 2 wounds, that's not bad at all. Each time you attack this weapon against a vehicle unit, that attack has a damage characteristic of 2 and an unmodified wound roll of 4 plus successfully wounds the target. So this arc stuff is cool. I'm not sure what the advantage of taking a galvanic rifle is. You've got rapid fire, so rapid fire 1. You get an additional shot. You've got the special rule. I can only assume that in the full rules, the galvanic rifle is a lot cheaper. because the arc rifle seems to be massively the way to go. But that's all pretty cool. Other war gear. The bearers, well, the bearer is on the battlefield. The bearer's unit gains the data tether keyword. Oh, this is enhanced data tether. Add +1 to the leadership characteristics of models in the bearer's unit. So again, that's pretty cool. Abilities. Doctrina Imperatives. Bionics. Unit has a 6+ invulnerable save. Not brilliant, but nothing to be laughed at. Rangers. At the start of the first battle round, models in this unit can make a normal move up to 3 inches. They cannot in this move within 9 inches of any enemy. So that gets you guys further in and a bit more in range. So this is all for Rangers. So yeah, I mean, that's a galvanic rifle. You got that guy with the enhanced data tether. They're all galvanic rifles. It doesn't point out which one is the arc rifle, but surely you take that every bloody time. I can assume there's a cost or something. Anyway, and your keywords are Imperium, Adeptus Mechanicus, Skitari, and Mars. Obviously, your faction keywords, and your keywords are Infantry, Corps, and Skitari Rangers, which, yeah, a core unit, so you can take a lot of them, depending on if you're working with those rules. You've got a nice tutorial here, explaining the trans uric arquebus and the plasma weapons. Some units, including Skitari Rangers, who have plasmas, can be equipped. Who have plasma caliber can be equipped with plasma weapons. Plasma weapons have 2 profiles, so explain which we've gone through already, and it explains the supercharging and risks. It also explains the lookout Sir rule. Ordinarily, the Technomancer would benefit from the lookout Sir rule, and then it references you back to that in the tutorial. So that's pretty cool. We've got another battle here. The Necron legions have broken through Sifos defenses and landed on the surface. Skitari Rangers, beep boop, are the first to react and must hold the beep line, boop. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I should have done Mel Mickey. Anyway, you've got a single unit of Skitari Rangers confronting 10 Necron warriors, so that's 10 soldiers each, so that's pretty balanced, and that's pretty cool. It also shows you how to cover morale test and combat attrition phase, as well as unit coherency checks, which I'm pretty sure we've done before, but it's covering all the details of the morale test. No, we haven't done this before. I'm thinking of something else. But it covers the morale test and the morale phase, which is cool. It's got the psychic phase again in red, which I just realised is because nobody has psychic powers in this game. Same reason why it has the command phase in red, I'm guessing. And it's just going through that from beginning to end, which is pretty cool. The victory conditions are are basically total annihilation. The last player with models remaining. Been playing too much Blood Bowl. Wins the battle. And for the rematch, swap sides and try and play again. Make sure you understand the rules correctly, which is always a good idea. I always prefer the rematches where they add something else. Same material I had last time, so I'll not go through it again. And on the back page, we have the awesome Canoptic Spider, which is frankly just a scary ass model. It's a spider with phase tech and the ability to crunch down on you with metal. Next, the week after that, we've got some paints, which isn't bad. You've got a Nuln Oil, and you just can't get enough of Nuln Oil. And the base of Rakarth Flesh. That's a good base for kind of zombies and pallid creatures. If you have any flesh on your Skitarii or on your Tech Priest, that's not a bad one to use. And it won't go bad on your flayed ones either. Sorry about the twitchiness. As my life calms down, hopefully that'll calm down. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try and keep up, but at the moment, my finances are shot to crap. So some of it will depend literally on things like when I can afford to go to get the models, or when I can afford to get the magazine rather. This week was slightly slowed down by the fact that I couldn't go and get the magazine because I had COVID, and initially they wanted us to keep all the kids in. Now they've said, well, yeah, last couple of days they said the kids had to go to school, and so they have been. I say last couple of days, a bit into last week. And then my eldest then tested positive for COVID, which is what it means she's basically been in school 40 hours with COVID, spreading it around because that makes sense. But now my wife has started testing clear for a couple of days, so she can now take Max, who was also testing clear, my youngest, to school apparently. And it's just me in the middle and it's just me trapped indoors with my eldest. My middle child had COVID a couple of months back, and we think it's probably the same strain simply because she hasn't been affected by any of this and has just tested clear throughout. But it does mean that everything's just been thrown up in the air. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this extra long double episode, and fingers crossed I will see you next Wednesday or Thursday with the episode of the Canoptic Spider, which obviously will go out and be one. Ah, Jesus. I hope you guys are having more fun than I am. Bye-bye.